welcome to Horror Movies and Shit. I'm your host, Jim. And with me, as always, is
Mark.
Mark, how are you today?
Oh, living the dream, Jim, like you like to say.
Nightmares are dreams too, Mark.
Yes.
So, Mark, do you want to introduce our guests?
Well, Jim, you have this habit of randomly inviting people onto our podcast and scheduling it for like 5 months out. And I usually don't know who they are. But hang on, Jim. This time I did some research.
Did you? Oh my God, I'm impressed.
All week. And we have, from across the pond, I'm so excited. They are actually the training team behind the greatest ever British ski jumper, Eddie the Eagle Edwards. So, hang on, let me check my notes. Oh shit, that's next week. Sorry, Jim, you'll have to take this one.
Okay, so we have the writer and the stars of the movie The Cellar. Mark, have you seen it?
I haven't because you never sent it to me.
Even if I send you movies, you don't watch them.
Okay.
So I don't understand. Why are you even doing this? Do you even like movies, Mark?
So this is another. So I'm sorry, we bicker like an old married couple. Jim doesn't really have a good grasp about movies or horror movies in general. So what he does is he watches screeners and doesn't send them to me, so he can actually sound that he's got some more information that I don't.
I would like to just preface this by saying the very first screener that was ever sent to me was Late Night with the Devil, and I shared that with you immediately, and you never watched it. 3 months you had that film.
I forgot about it. I got things to do, Jim.
Anyway, enough about that. Mark, you're annoying. So before we get started, before we get into the questions and stuff, the conversation, why don't you guys go around and just tell everybody where they can follow you? Because I always leave this till last, and then by then nobody's paying attention. So, Jamie, you want to get started? Where can people follow you?
They can just follow me on all the social platforms. Like Instagram, Facebook, IMDb, everywhere. There's no real escaping these days. So, there's no hiding. There is no hiding.
That is very true. Neil, what about yourself?
I only really use Instagram. So I'm at Neil James Actor on Instagram.
Awesome. And Megan?
So I am on Facebook under Megan Adara. However, my Facebook has just been suspended, so that's fun.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh, you're in Facebook prison now.
Yeah, I am. I had to do the make sure it's me. Apparently that works, and they will let you back in. And I'm on Instagram as Megan_Adara as well.
Okay. So the movie The Cellar. Jamie, tell us how this movie came about. What was the inspiration around this film?
So I was working as an actor on another concept short, and we used one of the locations that was in the cellar for this other concept. It was a concept short for another feature film. And I just sort of thought it's such a cool location, and it just sort of kind of inspired me to write another little short film. And then we spent a day shooting it. It was actually in another location we shot it, but I was inspired by this, this first location I was in. We shot this little film, or it's like a couple of scenes for the trailer. And then it was a long day, but at the end of the day, we had I think it was 12-13 minutes worth of footage. And I was thinking, okay, that's a lot of footage for one day of filming. And it gave me a little bit more confidence to actually extend the film and write some more and turn it into a feature film, basically. And that's how it came about. So it's mainly the location that I worked in before that kind of inspired me to write it.
Nice. And so I always ask this of all the people that write, because writing to me is fascinating because I'm not creative. Like, I'll fix computers, I'll build stuff, but I don't ask me to get creative. do you write for people that you know, or do you just write the story?
I mean, I just write the story. I mean, the Cellar was like, it definitely wasn't a conventional way of making a film. Certainly with the writing, because we'd shoot some stuff, then I'd write some more stuff, shoot some more stuff, write some more stuff. I let the film sort of take its own direction. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really consider myself a writer as such.
Did you have an idea about how it would end, or was that just part of the process as you're writing it? Because I know a lot of times people have an idea for the start and the end, and then they kind of fill in the blanks.
I had an idea of the end. Yeah, I had an idea of the end. But yeah, again, this was like a work in process. So even though I had an idea, I was kind of, under the impression it might change depending on what journey this film goes in, basically.
I'm curious how the set, like the location that you shot this in, came about, because it's awesome. Like it's beautiful. We don't have stuff like that in Florida because everything, the oldest thing here is like from 1850. So, and it's crumbling because we don't build anything that lasts.
Well, we kind of cellars here anyway, Jim, because they get flooded.
No, there is that, yes. So how did you come across that location? I mean, I take that back. You just talked about that, but how did that inspire the story itself? Like, were you just, when you said you were shooting another concept when you saw the location, but like, did that drive your plot points in the story, or did you just say, I just want to use this and then develop the story after that?
I kind of, because the location, it was like multiple locations. Even the stuff in the cellar, people think it's like just one big location.
Yeah.
But it was multiple locations. So I just found the main location I kind of found online there's a website in here called the Sussex Film Office, and it lists a whole bunch of different locations. So I went and done like a recce of this location. And then, you go around this location and then you just sort of start getting these ideas coming to you. And different points in at the location, you just, I just think, okay, so this could happen, that could happen in that part. And we walk down a little bit, okay, then this could happen. And then I'd sort of write the story as I was sort of going around doing this recce on these locations, basically.
So I'm curious because, and Megan, this is more probably geared towards you, is you don't have a whole lot of speaking parts. This is a really physical film, right? You do a lot of trying to escape, and I'll get to my favorite scene in a minute, but like, how was that being an actor and undertaking that sort of part?
So before Jamie had asked me to be part of the film, I shot a short film, which was literally predominantly just, acting without lines. So I had some like sort of experience, but I wasn't going into the film thinking it was going to be a feature film. Like, we never actually, discussed as like on the chat, like, what, we're not going to do the proof of concept anymore, we're going to move over to doing a feature film. It kind of just like happened like organically, and like, as it just went on. So I wasn't like too like, like worried about it. And then the Indiegogo started to like get loads of traction, and loads of people were starting to like, get really into it. I started doing all these interviews, and then I really started like thinking about how I'm like not talking in this whole film, and that my acting has to be like on point. So I was like really like making sure that I was portraying and conveying the emotions that obviously I was feeling and the character was feeling, and merging them together to make sure that, because there is no lines, I can't fall back on those lines to, propel the story forward or to like spell it out to the audience. So I spent a lot of like time on the script thinking about what would Abigail do, what would I do, and merging them together to make sure that the physical acting and the facial expression was as natural as it could be. And yeah, it was challenging because obviously there is no lines. And if your physical and facial acting doesn't match the scene, then it's going to be more apparent. But I think it's made me a better actress in the sense of I know that I can do more challenging roles, and it's pushed me. So I think overall, even though it was challenging, it was really rewarding. And yeah, I just really enjoyed playing her.
Yeah. So I have to ask you about the door scene. Who came up with the idea of how you were going to get out of that cellar? How you were going to open the door? Because that's pretty intense and very resourceful, the way that you actually open the door. So was that scripted, or did you guys just come up with that on the fly?
So originally when Jamie wrote it, it was meant to be that scene was meant to be completely different. And that was like basically one of the last days that we shot.
Okay.
And we ended up in this like amazing like location, and basically in the first like script, we didn't have what we needed to do it. So I think we just went with like, okay, well, the location doesn't have what we need, so what can we do differently? What would she do in this situation? And it was kind of like a process on set of like, okay, well, there's a hatch, she could do something, find something and smash it open, and then try and like use like her bra and stuff. So it was kind of Jamie's idea, and then everybody else, I think, threw ideas into the thing, and we tried different takes and different ways of doing it to see what worked best. But I can tell you it was a very challenging scene, and it genuinely hurt my armpit. But it looks good.
It really does. And like all too often with a lot of storytelling, especially when you have somebody trapped in a location, you try the doorknob and it doesn't work, and oh shit, now what are we going to do, right? So
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, because that was the first thing I said. I'm like, wow, at least she's smart.
Yeah, because I'm not in real life. I am not smart in real life.
I love like single location people trying to figure out how to get out type movies, like Frozen, not the Disney one, Fall, 127 Hours, those types of things, because really is, and that probably speaks to the writing as much as anything, as far as it's a puzzle, right? And how do we get out of this puzzle to make it interesting for an audience to view? So I look forward to watching it, Tim.
Do you, Mark?
Fall was a bit of an inspiration as well, because I did watch that film, shortly before I wrote the short film. So that was a bit of inspiration, because the short film was literally just all in the cell.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, after watching Fall, obviously it's all, on top of a tower, and that's basically it. So, and that was such a captivating film, and it was just all shot literally in this small little area on top of a tower.
It's one of the few movies that I couldn't even look at the screen because I don't like heights.
Oh wow!
so actually, we could talk about this and like open water, because I don't like being in the ocean either. So like those are the two like scariest, and they're both again stuck in one location type thing. Jim,
I'm just letting you go, Mark. So Neil, how did you get involved with this project?
I was aware that it was going on, and I'd seen on social media that it was filming, and I'd worked with Jamie before as I knew him as an actor, so I was very impressed that he was turning his hand to directing. And I kind of was following it, and I think probably hoping it was going to be a success, but I didn't know I was going to get a call from him. I got a message from Jamie saying, would you like to be in the feature film I'm making? I need a cult leader. And I instantly thought of you. Which
I mean, that could be a compliment, right?
I'm still not sure. And he sent through the script, and at that point, the character was just called Cult Leader. So I said, I think Jamie then said, "Oh, we better give him a name." So they named him Gabriel, but I had no idea he was kind of such a big deal as a character. I thought he was just kind of someone that was going to come in, do a scene and not have a huge impact on the story of the film. Because Jamie didn't tell me that. But once I kind of realised that it was, I think it's probably quite good he didn't tell me that, because I possibly would have felt a little bit more pressure than I did just coming in. So yeah, I mean, I've got I did 2 days on the film. I only did 2 days, both very different days, but yeah, they were great. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I was aware of Megan. I'd seen some of Megan's. She's worked with people I've worked with before, but we never crossed paths. So to do that, there's a particular scene that we sort of do together towards the end of the film was a real treat. Really enjoyable. Yeah.
And this movie's sort of blown up on the film circuit, right? With in the festivals and stuff. What has that been like, Jamie? What has that experience been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's all just sort of unexpected, really. It's the first feature film that I've sort of directed and kind of put out there. So yeah, I mean, I didn't really expect the film to even be made, if I'm honest. I didn't even expect to get a budget to make it. But I thought I'd give it a go, because I'd probably regret it if I didn't. And luckily, obviously, we did get a budget to make it. And yeah, no, it's been great, obviously, seeing that it's been shown in, America and other places. And
I do have the awards.
Yes.
Oh wow.
I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is that the Hollywood one?
Yes, that one is the Hollywood one, which is
That's Hollywood.
I won Best Acting, which is fun.
Amazing.
So, I mean, I've not really been involved in the circuit. So, Megan, what is that experience like when you are nominated for these awards?
Well, I didn't think I'd win, to be honest. I didn't think that. I mean, in the film, I obviously tried to do my best.
Yeah.
But I'm always very critical, and Jamie will know that if I'm not happy with a take, I will keep doing it until I'm happy, to the point where he's like, seriously, we've got enough, let's just carry on. And I'm like, no, we're gonna do it again. So yeah, I'm very critical, and I like to watch the take after to see what it looks like, and sometimes even if everyone else is like, that was a really good take, that was amazing, inside sometimes I don't feel like it was my best performance. So there were days where I'd go and I'd be like, oh my god, I did a great job, more than what I expected to. And then there was other days where I'd get home and I'd be really angry at myself and be like, you could have done that so much better, but can't do it again now, so we're just stuck with it.
You're like the Stanley Kubrick
yeah
of the cast.
So when we started winning awards for the film and the sound and best producing, best directorial debut, all that stuff, I was like, yeah, absolutely, it looks incredible. The scene, the sets are incredible. Where we shot was incredible. The people, the crew we had on board was so talented. And then I won Best Actress and it didn't sink in, and I was like, nah, that's a mistake. And then I kept looking at it and I cried, and then I won 2 more times. So yeah, it kind of hasn't sunk in, because I still am very critical and I always will be. But yeah, I'm just really, really grateful that the festivals obviously gave me the award and thought that I was good enough for it. I won't think I will ever be that good, but inside sometimes when I look up at my wall and I see the awards, it gives me more, inspiration and, confidence in myself. So yeah, insane.
If you ever have to cry on camera, you can just think about looking at your award.
Yeah.
Bring that back out. So I think, for obviously living in the US, with a lot of UK independent horror, we seem to get quite a lot of it, and it seems to be kind of blowing up, especially on kind of the streaming sites, things like that. So what's kind of the path for distribution for the movie? Do you have a path, or do people come up to you, in these film festivals and say, "Hey, would like to, buy this from you," or how does that work?
I mean, you get distributors attend the film festivals. Yeah, definitely. But I mean, distribution is fairly easy, really. It's easy to get a film out there. It's hard to market the film to the point when people know it's out there. But to distribute a film, whether it's here or America, it's quite simple. But it's the whole marketing around it that's the complicated bit.
What was the production side of this? Like how complicated, or how, I mean, not even just how long did the shoot take, but arranging for cameras and lighting and all of that. What is that process like? Because there's generally a lot of people involved. So what was it like for this film?
I mean, it's quite simple because I'm working as an actor on like indie films for like 20 years. You meet a lot of people, and you meet a lot of DOPs and gaffers and sound guys, and so I knew a lot of people locally that are talented people. So it's just using the resources around me and using my friends basically to help me make the film. So it's pretty simple. Obviously, the DOPs, they use their own equipment. And yeah, I mean, I didn't need to worry about hiring any equipment or anything like that because,
Wow.
I mean, one of the cinematographers, Morgan, he's got his kit list is like, a massive long list of all sorts of different things.
Right.
So yeah, if he's got like so much, there's never any point when we're like, okay, we need to get this in because he'd already have it.
Right.
So, Neil, to bring you in, both Neil and Jamie, you both have like an extensive list of movies you've acted in on IMDb. But Neil, what has been your best and worst experience acting?
That's a loaded question.
Without
Why would
throwing
you do
anybody
that?
under the bus unless you want to. I'm just here for the gossip.
Cellar, I imagine.
Worst was the Cellar. My best was a couple of years ago. I got to be a lead in a feature about Christmas. I was playing a kind of grumpy dad in a Hallmark style Christmas film, and that was just my first time I'd been involved in a feature film where I was number one on the call sheet and was in absolutely every day and saw the whole thing from start to finish, which is really more valuable than I thought it was, to actually be there on day one and be the last to leave on on the last day. I guess it's similar to Megan on the Cellar. She saw more or less the whole thing. A lot of the stuff I've done, you say I've got a lot of stuff on IMDb, and I have, but a lot of that is going in for 2-3 days, into it, and kind of, and there's something nice about that as well. You just kind of go in, do your thing, say hello to everyone, and then and then your kind of job's done, and you can relax about it. But yeah, actually the Christmas film, which is called Christmas Time, so it's on Amazon Prime, it was a fantastic experience. I like Christmas films, I like Christmas in general, so it was just right up my street. And I was playing a Scrooge type character. Some people really like the film, some people venomously hate it, but it's I think it's charming.
Well, art is all about evoking emotions, right? So
Yeah.
whether people love it or hate it, you've done your job.
Yeah.
But if they just don't care about it, then no.
Yeah,
no.
then there's a problem.
But also, I kind of realised there's a that no one actually says it, but I sort of took on the responsibility of welcoming people to the set. When new actors were coming on, I would sort of be the one. Let me show you where this is and where that is, and and doing introductions. And like I say, it just sort of happened organically. Whether or not you found that, Megan, when a new person would come on, because you're like, you've been there for ages.
Not particularly. Like, I think from this experience, I've become a more confident person, but during the shoot, I'm very shy. And if new people come in, I'm like, oh, okay, there's more people here. This is really nerve-wracking because I'm acting in front of people that I've never met. And yeah, I just tend to keep myself to myself and just let people find their
Yeah.
own route. But I think from the process of the whole Cellar production, I've become more confident. So maybe I would in the future do that. Yeah.
Yeah. As opposed to the worst acting experience, I don't know. Really, I've been cold to the point where I think I'm going to freeze to death at times, like filming night shoots and things like that. I can't really think of anything particular that's been horrible. But even the ones actually when they are horrible, time's a great healer, and then you look back on them a couple of years later and go, "Oh, that was great!" And actually, just rose-tinted glasses, I think.
Yeah.
But I kind of, I'm always just, I've been doing it now for 13 years professionally, and I still sometimes think, "Wow." When I'm on set, I'm still kind of as excited as I was on the very first job. Sometimes it's great. Yeah, I love the job.
Jim?
Yes, Mark.
No,
So I'm curious.
sorry, I've got a question for Jamie. I think a lot of whenever you think about movies, things that people don't really think are very important, as a general movie viewer, are things like sound design, soundtrack, and editing. Do you find any of those challenging, or do you have ideas prior, especially with the soundtrack or with sound design, what you kind of want to do?
I mean, I've got ideas. I mean, I usually just sort of give it to the editor. I mean, like, this is now yours. You can deal with this now. But no, I mean, I sat in on the edit and we'd sort of kind of do it. He'd sort of do it. I'd sort of like watch over, and if there were little things that I didn't think worked, I'd just let him know. But yeah, I mean, if you want to get people involved, then you sort of have to trust them, and they're going to bring something new to the whole project. But yeah, I think editing is you can have so much patience editing. I don't think I to be honest with you. So I'm glad I sort of just let him get on with it, because it probably would have done my head in.
And on the flip side, as you're all actors, also, have you ever had what you thought was a great scene edited out, and you're like, oh no, you got to watch it and it's not there?
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, it's usually because of technical things, and that's annoying. Obviously, you're relying on people to do their job right or do it well, because obviously, if they don't do it well, if the sound guy doesn't get good sound, then obviously you've just wasted your time doing a thing, basically. So yeah, it's usually technical stuff, really, especially at indie level, because they don't really have the budget to employ the best sound guy in the world, or
Does a UK lottery still fund independent movies over there?
Yeah.
I do.
Do you ever go through that or how is that? Do you have to just like send in an application form? Hey.
Yeah, I think you've got to apply, and I don't know how it works, but it's a very small percentage of films get funded that way. But it would be cool to get lottery funding. Yeah, that would be amazing.
That'd be great.
So say the lottery turned around to you and said, "Hey, we're going to give you £10 million." What would your if you had that amount of money to make one movie?
Oh my God!
Do you have any what would you do?
A second Cellar.
Cellar too. Perfect.
God, yeah. What would I do? It's just. I mean,
have you written anything and you're like, oh my God, this would be great if I had a big budget? Say.
I mean, I've got something in mind, but I haven't fully written it. But yeah, I mean, with something like 10 million, God, that'd be too much money. I'd be like 10 grand on the film, and then just keep the rest for myself.
Pay the cast.
Oh,
Ooh.
No, he did pay me. I'm just joking.
I know. I'm curious, Jamie, especially with like this film, you said that it evolved sort of as you were filming. How did you keep the pacing in line? Because especially with it being there not being a whole lot of dialogue to drive the story, you really have to keep the viewers interested. And you did a really good job. So I'm curious how that developed. Was it all organic, or did you have specific plot points you wanted to hit in every scene?
I mean, it was more about visuals, really. Certain things that I'd want to include in the story, and then take certain items and then build a story around the item or the location. Like for the mask, for example, I'd look at the masks and just think, okay, these looks amazing on camera. Let's incorporate them into the story. And stuff like the eyes. I thought, let's incorporate that into the story. It's basically taking the items, the locations, and just incorporating whatever I had into the story, and then writing the story around it, basically.
Mm.
I mean, the pacing, again, a lot of that is through the editing, and like the sound design and score and everything like that. I just knew I wanted a lot of atmosphere, a lot of tension. And yeah, I wanted to kind of follow the lead character, sort of almost like a computer game, and just sort of make it a little bit immersive, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah.
People would think they're the kind of the lead character.
And you did that for sure. So I'm really curious, Megan. Your part in this film is extremely physical.
Yeah.
Did you do anything to prepare? Like, were you expecting it to be that physical?
No.
Okay.
I have a condition called hip dysplasia, which means my hip can pop out. And at the start of filming, I had no idea that I had this problem.
no.
So as filming progressed, you can probably see in one of the scenes, I'm going up the stairs and I'm actually genuinely limping because I've been going up and down the stairs, and doing the bit when I'm like trying to get out of the cellar.
Yeah.
I've got my legs on that hurt.
That's what I was just going to ask you about, because that
Yeah.
scene, you're up there for a while.
Yeah, so I didn't realize it was going to be that physical because obviously, as Jamie was saying, it started off as a short film and then slowly, well, not slowly, like quite quickly, but organically progressed into this feature film. And he was writing it as it went along. So it wasn't ever like we got our full script and I turned around to him and said, look, this part in the film, I'm not going to be able to do it. Could you like rework it like somehow? So I had no idea. But to be honest, I really enjoyed doing it. And the pain was worth it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried at times when Megan would sort of turn up with crutches.
Yes.
Yes. Oh God.
Yes.
And Megan, on IMDb, it said that you actually had a heart transplant.
Yes.
So, how does that impact like physicality, or is it not an issue? Or
no, it is an issue. I had cancer when I was younger as well, and actually in this shoot as well, I was in hospital because I had bladder cancer during the shoot. So we had to take a break filming while I was in hospital. And straight after my operation, 2 weeks later after coming out of hospital, I went and did the last scene. I don't really let it get in the way of what I want to do. I don't ever like dwell on it or like make it a personality thing. I don't really ever talk about it too much because I'm worried about sometimes like castings and stuff. I won't be cast in it because I have these health issues or I've got a hip problem. But Jamie will know that doesn't matter. I'll turn up and I'll do whatever. Yeah.
We can all see that from the film. We can all see that's absolutely true.
Yeah, it actually sounds like you are like the show must go on type of mentality.
Yeah.
So
I use my health issues as a Obviously I'm like extremely grateful to still be here. If it wasn't for my heart transplant, I wouldn't have done this film, obviously. And yeah, I'm just really grateful for I guess I'm grateful for my health issues. It's made me who I am. It's made me strong, and grateful for literally every single opportunity that comes my way. So yeah, I don't really ever, use it as an excuse unless I have a hospital appointment. Then there's
Right.
no working around it.
You hear that, Jamie?
Yeah.
Funny.
Hey, at least you don't live in the U.S. You'll be bankrupt by now. True.
That's awful. Mark,
Yes.
what else you got?
So we talked about the distribution of it. So do you have any, as Megan was saying, do you have any ideas for maybe a sequel, or are you just interested in doing like original works?
Yeah, I just want to do original stuff. I think The Cellar is like a one-time film,
Mhm.
and unless it becomes a big and massive success,
Unless it's like Terrifier, and then you'll do The Cellar too. Yeah.
exactly. then it'd be good just to cash in on that. So
Jamie, is it streaming anywhere yet, or are you still doing some circuit stuff?
we're still on the festival circuit.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean it'll be at the European film market this month in like a week's time. So from then I'll know a lot more.
The unfortunate thing is I was Googling it, and there's also a movie coming out this year called Cellar Door. So that kept on popping up as well. Like,
yeah.
Sure,
yeah. I think I saw that as well. But there's always going to be,
Mm.
that's always going to be the case.
Yeah, of course. So I'm curious, Megan, Neil, and Jamie, if you could work with one person, who would you want to work with? Just if it could be anybody. Who would be the dream?
Well,
us, obviously, but
I've got two.
Okay.
They're British actors. Jodie Comer, she's a British actor, but she's gone in to do like Hollywood films. And Saran Jones, who is also a British actor. They really inspired me to get into TV and film. And yeah, I just am amazed by them. So I'd love to work with them if the opportunity ever came up.
Nice. Neil, what about you?
I think my big ones are all dead.
Oh,
that's okay.
Peter Sellers, Philip Seymour Hoffman,
Yeah.
but big fan of them. Christopher Lee. Like I say, we've kind of lost them. I don't know if there's anyone like. I mean, there's so many people I'd like to work with. I don't know if I've really got a. No, I can't really think of anyone in particular. Just, but yeah, I think. Yeah, mine are all dead. Sorry.
okay.
Or I guess even like directors, or like if there's like a director you'd like to be in a movie.
I mean, with AI, you could still work with them.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you could.
At some point.
Yeah, very true. Directors, David Fincher, I'd like to work with. I hear he's notoriously, he likes a lot of takes as well.
Megan would like to work with him then.
Yeah,
I'd
actually,
love to
that's
work with him.
probably a better fit. Actually,
I'd be sat with him, being like, "Not that one, not that one. That one's good."
Right.
The shooting schedule goes 6 months past
Yeah.
because you're like, no, I don't like that part. No, I don't like that part.
I'm
Let's
never
see
working with her again. She is a nightmare.
Jamie, what about you?
I mean, in terms of a director, I'd probably say Shane Meadows. He seems to really get great performances out of actors.
Dead Man's Shoes is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'd say Shane Meadows for a director. As an actor, God. I mean, so Anthony Hopkins.
Ooh.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good one. So I'm curious, are you guys all horror movie fans? Like, do you enjoy the horror genre? Well, and I mean that more from a casual perspective, not necessarily working in it, but like viewing horror movies and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I've grown up literally watching horror films from, like, my mum snuck me into a horror film once, and I was only 12, which
Shut up, Mark.
I shouldn't have gone and seen.
Which one was it?
Oh, sorry, my dog's barking.
That's okay.
But I just love horror films. I'm like that type of person who's like, a new horror film will come out, and I'll be really excited. I'll watch it, and then it'll get to the evening, and I won't be able to sleep. So yeah.
I envy you that. I usually am let down by a lot of horror films. I get really excited, and then I'm just like, oh, that wasn't it. No.
Yeah, no, yeah. Sometimes it was like, oh well, that was like, but then something in the film, I'll be like, oh my god, but like, what if it like it,
Yeah.
for example,
Right.
can't. I watched it, and then one night I was trying to go to sleep, and I was petrified that he was going to turn up. And I opened my eyes, and I could just see 2 orange lights like staring at me, and I
Oh,
was like, "That's his eyes." Oh my god!
But there's something like that behind
yeah.
you right now.
oh,
I can see behind me.
she's got a camera mark that you can't.
It's out
Yeah,
of frame.
I didn't sleep the whole evening, so that was fun.
That's the remake
Yes.
of the remake.
Yeah, the remake, not the original.
The original. Yeah, see, the original one scared. That's the one that scared the hell out of me. The original.
That Chinese restaurant scene in the original was a nightmare. I would not eat Chinese food for a long time. It really was.
Yeah, I've always been a big horror fan. I think I saw Halloween at quite a young age. I think like one of my friend's brothers had hired it out on VHS, and we sort of sneaked when he went out. We put it on and watched it when I was way too young to watch it. So yeah, Halloween's always been a big one. And then I think I was like 17 when Scream came out, so that was quite a big. I was the perfect age for Scream. I think when that came out, and then I think I used to be slashers. It was sort of Friday the 13th, the Freddy's and things like that. But as I've got older, I mean, you discover The Shining, The Exorcist, Alien, and I'm a big fan. But I can also I can kind of get enjoyment out of most horrors, regardless of budget or who's in them. I kind of, even if they're really bad, I still don't hugely feel I've wasted like an hour and a half. Like I'm still kind of like, okay, that was awful, but it was fun. It was fun. I think horror fans are a different. We're not like kind of people who are fans of westerns or romantic comedy or anything like that. We'll kind of give anything a go.
In general, that's true.
There's a lot of comedy in horror as well.
There is. Because speaking of what Jamie was saying, there's a film on Amazon, and it was like portrayed as this like terrifying like horror film mixed with like zombies. My boyfriend and I were like, oh, that sounds like fun. You really like horror movies, like let's watch it. And then it turned halfway through into a musical, and I was very confused. But I came out of it being like, well, that was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had watching a horror film, because it was hilarious. In a good way.
Name of this film. Megan, what is the name of that film? I need the name of that film.
I can't remember now. I have no idea. I can't remember it.
In that,
we'll track it down. Horror. It went a musical halfway through.
They just started singing and like whacking people with like candy cane.
Oh, you're talking about Anna and the Apocalypse.
Yes,
that is a great film. That is a great film.
Yes, that's it.
I love that movie. That is so much
it's hilarious.
Yeah,
absolutely hilarious. But I was expecting it to be this really scary, story of this girl surviving an apocalypse, and halfway through, she starts singing and killing people with candy sticks.
Yeah,
so that was fun.
And it's really, the whole movie is not even so much about the zombies. Yeah, they're dealing with them, but it's all about the high school BS that they have to go through every day, and it never ends.
As well. Some of the acting in it is great.
It really is.
Yeah,
it absolutely is. And I think, there's always a lot of comedy because you have to break up the tension, right? Generally, you can't be full throttle 100% of the time. Otherwise, it sort of doesn't become full throttle anymore.
No, you can, Jim.
I disagree.
You totally can.
I disagree.
No, not every horror movie needs comedy in it.
Like what, Mark?
Martyrs. The Shining. I mean, there is a lot of comedy in horror, but
I
there's
mean,
a lot of
I
straight
still
horror movies.
find. Well, I disagree with you because in The Shining, like a lot of Jack's behavior becomes almost comical when he's not menacing his family, obviously. But you know, with the delusions he's having and that sort of stuff, there is some breakup in the film, so that the tension can be rebuilt.
Okay, let's move on from Jim and his wacky ideas about.
So, what do you guys have coming up next, Jamie? I know about one project you're involved in because we had a chance to talk to Reese a few weeks back. But Megan and Neil, what do you guys have coming up that you're involved in that you're excited about?
Well, actually, Neil and I are on another horror film called Amelia, and I am the lead character again. And I'm just really happy that Neil's on board because I absolutely love Neil. I love him. Like, every time I see him, I'm just like, oh, it's Neil. So I'm just really excited. And yeah,
It's vampires.
it's
It's
a
a vampire
vampire
Oh,
movie.
movie.
nice.
I am the vampire. Yeah, basically it's like about this girl who has like no family. She just turns up in this village, and this village is like really tight-knit community. So when this girl turns up, they're like, who is she? Like, where's she come from? Like, she's really like off-putting, like no one really knows where to place her. And then people start like turning up dead, and they have to try and like work out who's done it, and why. So yeah, it's going to be more gory than the Cellar, and a lot more blood. So I'm excited to like play a different character and be in a more gory horror film. So yeah, I'm excited for that. We start filming in April, May. Is that right?
April and May, I've got down. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I've
And we're in scenes
yeah, we
together.
are,
We've
and
got.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
We've got a Facebook page and Instagram page, which is Amelia Drama Horror Film on Facebook, and then Amelia Horror Film on Instagram.
Yeah, I think
and
I'm following that page already
Mhm.
because I wondered. I was
You
like,
do?
I saw
Oh,
it. I'm
nice.
like, I don't know what that is, but that looks interesting.
Yeah. So Neil actually was announced tonight as one of the cast members. So yeah.
Maybe
Was
you,
I? I didn't
I
know
maybe
did
that.
maybe you'll get to kill him.
That's awesome.
Maybe, and I really hope
I
I do.
mean-
Actually, I just did a short film and I get to kill someone in that as well, so that was fun. Usually Jamie kills me, but it was nice to be able to kill someone else. So yeah.
That's awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun. I will
Yeah.
definitely be following that on Facebook for sure.
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah, Amelia. Yeah, we're
We are very
excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah. Well, I know Megan and I have both also done a little cameo in Jamie's next film, The R.I.P.
Yeah.
Man.
That I did not know.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Jamie is the
I'm in there as well.
Jamie's the gift that keeps
Yeah.
on giving. See, so, like, every time I do a scene, I then just message him and say, I think that character should be in another scene. Jamie goes, all right.
I haven't done that yet,
yeah,
but I should be in another scene.
yeah, get on it.
Maybe there's another scene. By all means, you can be involved in, definitely.
There you go. So, Jamie, tell us a little bit about your involvement with the RIP Man.
So I'm directing it, and I'm producing it with Reese. I'm acting in it as well. But yeah, I mean, Reese kind of got on board with the Cellar, and then he kind of reached out. He sent me his screenplay, and then yeah, I mean, I was sort of like interested just on the cover art of the book, and then I mean, I was initially, because we were speaking about it and stuff, and I was initially gonna actually play the RIP Man.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh.
And there was another director on board. But I just sort of like took over and just said, you know, I'll direct this because otherwise it probably won't happen. And then I got someone else to play the RIP Man. But yeah, I mean, there's only 4 more shoot days left of it. So we've, we've done a lot. We're almost there with it. So, 2-3 months, and I think we'll be wrapped up on that.
Nice.
That's awesome. And how do you feel about the project so far? Are you happy with the product that you're ending up with so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot more ambitious than the Cellar. You know, there's a lot more characters, there's a lot more locations, certainly a lot more dialogue.
Yeah, that's
So,
not hard.
yeah. So yeah, there's a lot more crew. It's just a bigger, grander, you know, project.
Yeah.
Yeah, what we've got so far is all looking, you know, pretty nice. You know, there's a bit of gore in there as well, and
I was lucky enough to see some of the background, not background stills, but the stills from behind the scenes, and it looks like it's going to be a blast. I can't wait.
yeah, man, I can't wait till it's over because it is stressful directing, and it just consumes you basically.
Would you rather just act so that somebody else has to pull all the strings, or do you like directing also?
It's a lot more rewarding, I find, directing because you oversee the whole thing.
Right.
You feel like it is yours, basically.
Right.
But I mean, of course, acting is a lot of fun. You know, there's less stress, and you go in and do your bit, and you feel a bit more free. And you can actually go and talk to people properly and eat.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Like Neil said, he could just walk in for a couple of days and say bye. And then the director's left with all the hard work.
Fun.
Well, that leads me to another question, Jamie. How does it differ directing your own project versus directing somebody else's screenplay? Like, how do you balance that when it's not your vision from start to end versus when, like with the Cellar, it was?
Yeah, it's obviously I have to collaborate with Reese quite a bit on it, and Reese has got some amazing ideas. I mean, because the screenplay's like 130 pages long or something like that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so we had to obviously cut a lot of it because we don't have the budget to make it, and it'll end up being like a 2.5 hour film if we kind of made the whole screenplay. So it's just a case of setting out the structure and rewriting a lot of stuff. Once you film stuff, you kind of then, the way we do things, we then sort of revisit scenes and then we rewrite certain scenes based on what we've got so far, just to make everything sort of match up and make sense. And again, you know, you get location, things are going to change slightly, you know, because unless you are there building all the sets yourself to, you know, exactly how you want them, you're kind of, you draw inspiration from the locations, but also it sort of limits you a little bit, because, you know, there's certain things you wouldn't be able to do in locations. And yeah, I mean, Reese wrote this obviously without a budget in mind, so we've kind of had to adapt to the budget we've got, basically. But so far, so good. You know, Reese is open to ideas. You know, I'm open to his ideas, and yeah, we're getting there. We're doing it.
You mentioned when you were talking about the Cellar how it grew organically as you were filming? Are you getting that same feel from working on the R.I.P. Man?
Yeah. I mean, it is growing. It's becoming bigger. It's becoming bigger. You know, every scene seems to raise the production value a little bit. You know, every shoot day. Like we shot yesterday, we were shooting some stuff, and we used a real college for, you know, some of the main lead characters are all university students. So we was able to shoot a real college. We got real students on board as well. And yeah, it was a great location in it. We just raise up the whole production value.
I used to go to that college.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Mark?
Jim?
Right.
You got anything else?
No, that's it. I just want to thank all of you, and I can't wait to see the movie, Jim.
Mark, you're going to have to just watch it. You're going to have to do some research on your own, buddy. But I do want to say thank you. I'm very excited for the R.I.P. Man. I really enjoyed watching The Cellar. I thought it was very well paced. I honestly was expecting more dialogue, but it didn't hinder the experience at all. Once I understood that, hey, we're not going to get a whole lot of talking in here, it was fine. But you guys did a great job, especially like I said, Megan. I have a huge pet peeve with weak female characters, and I did not have that problem, so I was very happy.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm
I'm glad I didn't fall into that trap.
Yeah, me too.
Don't you hate it in films when something happened and then they go, "Hello?
Yes.
Is anyone there?" And I'm like, why are you doing that? I'm really glad that didn't happen.
I heard a joke once about why, and it said, "Why do people yell out hello in a horror movie? Are you expecting them to say, 'Hey, you want me to make you a sandwich?'" So now when I hear that, I automatically come back with that every single time in a film.
There was barely any dialogue in the film, you know.
Yeah.
Abigail's on her own pretty much throughout most of it.
Yeah, that's very.
Oh, I had to learn a really
yes,
long
you
prayer.
did.
Yes.
Yeah.
A very long prayer.
Yeah, but this was a great experience. So thank you for sharing it with us, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. This has been awesome.
Thank you for having us on. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Absolutely, I can't wait to have you guys on again because I will be following up on your new movies for sure.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
It's been fantastic to meet both of you. Thank you very much.
Far away, Sim, Marquis, and Masters of Fear, specters,